Hi, my name is Matthew Creasy. I'm a lecturer in English literature at the University of Glasgow. Although, like everyone else, I'm working from home at the moment. I hope that wherever you are, you're managing to keep safe and well during these uncertain times. As well as being a lecturer in English literature, I also convene our master's programme on Victorian literature. So I thought I would say something to you today about studying an M.Litt at the University of Glasgow. In terms of my own research, I work on the late Victorian period at the end of the 19th century. I am particularly interested in the influence of French writers upon British culture at that time, especially through movements such as decadence and aestheticism. As part of my current research, I'm working at the moment on a critical edition of the Irish writer George Moore's novel Confessions of a Young Man. This describes the experiences of a young man, not unlike Moore himself, who goes to Paris in the 1870s and 80s before he returns to London and becomes a writer, just like Moore himself. My research on George Moore has been very useful for a course that I teach called Decadence and the Modern. But that's just one of a range of the courses that are on offer at Glasgow. This year, it's possible to study on one of 5 different programmes when you come here. We have an M.Litt in Victorian literature, an M.Litt in Modernities, an M.Litt in American modern literature, an M.Litt in fantasy, and our general M.Litt in English literature. Study on these programmes is divided between a taught component and a dissertation. The taught component consists of 120 credits worth of courses which run during semester 1 and 2. The final dissertation is an independent project worth 60 credits, and teaching for this takes place from May to August. For the taught component of every programme, everyone has to take our research training course during semester 1. This is designed to provide you with the skills and resources for master's degree level research, and it forms an important keystone in your studies. The Modernities, Victorian literature, American modern literature and fantasy programmes then each have 2 core courses, one in each semester, and if you're on that programme then you have to take those core courses. These core courses are designed to build on and strengthen the general knowledge that you will have acquired through undergraduate study, but they're also designed to help you develop a specialised knowledge in your chosen field, whether it's Modernities or indeed 19th century literature for the Victorian programme and fantasy. For example, the fantasy core course in semester 1 charts the rise of fantasy from the 18th century to the end of the Second World War. Students look at texts that range from Christina Rossetti's Goblin Market to short stories by H.G. Wells and Oscar Wilde, as well as the work of Mervyn Peake. The Modernities core course, also in semester 1, examines some of the foundational modernist movements and manifestos of the first half of the 20th century. Students end up discussing work by writers as varied as Dorothy Richardson, Gertrude Stein, Henri Bergson and F. Marinetti. In the second semester, the Victorian core course 2 is called Writers, Readers and Publishers. It invites students to think about the making as well as the writing of books during the 19th century. We make use on that course of extensive holdings at the University Library to explore how Victorian books were meaningful as objects. Also in semester 2, American Modern Literature core course 2 looks at a range of modern texts, from popular cultural phenomena such as American Vogue to the Cuban-American novels of Beatriz Rivera and the plains realism of Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little House on the Prairie. As well as these core courses, we also offer a number of optional courses. These are courses that you would take in addition to your core courses. They derive from the research interests of our staff and allow you to explore more specialist interests and topics. As well as my own course on Decadence and the Modern, optional courses that will be running during 2020-21 include a course on children's fantasy by my colleague Dimitra Fimi. This builds on her expertise in Tolkien and other fantasy writers to trace a rich tradition of fantasy writing for children. Texts covered on that course range from J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan, or the work of Roald Dahl, to more recent fantasies for children by writers such as Catherine Fisher or Neil Gaiman. Or students can step beyond traditional European and American literature to take a course on African modernities. This is run by my colleague, Professor Willie Maley. It encourages students to decolonise the syllabus by looking at work by Chinua Achebe and Wole Soyinka, amongst other writers, or by working on Afrofuturism and African feminism, amongst a range of topics. There is also a course on Fantasies of Energy by Rhys Williams, a course which encourages students to engage with eco-criticism and the environment by thinking about representations of energy and where energy comes from and what will happen when our energy stocks reduce. Students on that course have worked on texts and forms as various as films, novels, short stories, and various artistic responses to the whole concept of petroculture. One great flexibility of the M.Litt programme here at the University of Glasgow is that once you've taken the research training course and the core courses associated with your programme, you have a free choice about the optional courses that you take. You'll have space to take 1 in semester 1 and 2 in semester 2. And you can also fill those slots by taking courses from across the College of Arts if space is available in those courses. So there are lots of options here. If you're taking the general M.Litt in English literature, you have even greater flexibility. You are free to take any of the courses we offer, including core courses and optional courses, so you can make up a programme of study for yourself. But don't worry, this isn't something that you would have to do by yourself. There are plenty of opportunities to consult staff when you're making these decisions. There's lots more to tell you about studying here. As well as our teaching arrangements, there are lively extracurricular reading groups, as well as visiting speakers and external trips to museums and sites of interest around Glasgow and Scotland. We can't wait to meet you and to share these things with you. Stay safe and stay healthy.